Chinese Party General Secretary and President Xi Jinping arrives in Hanoi for a state visit. And tentative names of PROVINCIal-4 provincial-level administrative units announced. Good evening and welcome to Today Headlines, your go-to bulletin for the most important stories shaping the day. Let's begin with the latest updates. Party General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China and President Xi Jinping today arrived at Hanoi International Airport, marking his fourth state visit to Vietnam in this capacity. He was warmly welcomed by Vietnamese State President Luong Quang and senior party officials. The visit holds significant strategic importance, coinciding with the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two nations and coming shortly after Vietnamese Party General Secretary Tô Lâm visit to China less than a year ago. This high-level engagement aims to further strengthen Vietnam-China relations and deepen their comprehensive strategic partnership. It is regarded as a major diplomatic event for both parties and nations, with long-term implications of the future of bilateral ties as the two nations enters a new era of development. Upon China's Party General Secretary and President Xi Jinping's arrival, Vietnam held an official welcome ceremony, reaffirming its commitment to strengthening the comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership between the two countries.
Vietnamese Party General Secretary Tô Lâm warmly welcomed China's Party General Secretary and President Xi Jinping and a high-level Chinese delegation on a state visit to Vietnam, coinciding with the Vietnam-China Year of People-to-People Exchanges and the 75th anniversary of bilateral diplomatic ties. Party General Secretary Tô Lâm expressed confidence that the visit would mark a new milestone in the friendship between the two countries, further deepening the comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership and advancing the building of a Vietnam-China community with a shared future of strategic significance. Congratulating China on its major achievements, Party General Secretary Tô Lâm reaffirmed that the Vietnamese party and state firmly believe in and support China's Party General Secretary and President Xi Jinping's leadership. He emphasized that developing relations with China remains a strategic choice, an objective requirement, and a top priority in Vietnam's overall foreign policy. Party General Secretary Tô Lâm proposed that both sides continue regular strategic exchanges, strengthen cooperation between the two parties and across key areas such as diplomacy, defense, and security, and expedite strategic infrastructure connectivity projects. He also encouraged boosting digital transformation and high-tech cooperation, advocated balanced trade, and cooperation on major environmental projects. He urged greater efforts to intensify educational efforts among young generations and expand educational exchanges, especially in training high-quality personnel in basic sciences and strategic high-tech fields. China Party General Secretary and President Xi Jinping also suggested a closer cooperation in production and supply chains and high-tech sectors. On multilateral cooperation, he proposed enhancing judicial and law enforcement collaboration within the Mekong-Lan-Can Cooperation (MLC) mechanism. Both leaders agreed to promote rich and diverse cultural exchanges and instruct relevant agencies to fully implement the consensus reached during the visit.
Now continuing updates of Chinese Party General Secretary and President Xi Jinping's visit. Vietnamese Prime Minister Phie also welcomed the Chinese leader and reaffirmed the importance of deepening the strategic partnership and building a Vietnam-China community of shared future. The Prime Minister proposed strengthening political trust, enhancing defense and security cooperation, developing cross-border railway links, promoting balanced trade, facilitating technology transfer, and improving human resource training. He emphasized prioritizing the launch of the Lao Cai Hanoi Haiphong Railway project in 2025 and advancing symbolic cooperation initiatives. Party General Secretary and President Xi Jinping expressed support for Vietnam's socialist development path, welcomed increased agricultural imports from Vietnam and encouraged high-quality Chinese investment in the country. Both sides agreed to maintain peace and stability along the border and at sea, manage differences responsibly, and boost coordination in multilateral frameworks. Now, during a meeting with the chair of the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, COMAC, Prime Minister Phie emphasized that the Party and State of Vietnam consistently encourage major Chinese enterprises to invest and expand investments in key sectors, such as road, railway, and aviation infrastructure in Vietnam. The Prime Minister proposed that COMAC support Vietnam in developing its airline fleet, expanding air routes, progressing toward manufacturing aircraft components, assembling aircraft, and developing the aviation economy. He also called for investment in aircraft maintenance and repair centers in Vietnam, training of high-quality human resources, and the exploration of outer space. He stressed that these efforts would contribute to fostering Vietnam-China relations. Receiving a delegation of the Central Youth Union of the Chinese Communist Youth Union, Do Văn Chiến, member of the Politburo, Secretary of the Party Central Committee, Chairman of the Central Committee of Vietnam Fatherland Front, highly appreciated the success of the 24th Vietnam-China Youth Friendship Meeting program. He also hoped that the youth of both countries will continue to exchange experiences and cooperate in developing science and technology to aid the two countries' development. Regarding the 24th Vietnam-China Youth Friendship Meeting taking place this morning, the two sides shared experiences in educating the younger generation about revolutionary ideals and following the thoughts of the leaders of two parties and two countries. Vietnam National Television, VTV, and China Central Radio and Television, CMG, today jointly announced a VTV-CMG Media Cooperation Agreement. The announcement event coincided with the 75th anniversary of diplomatic ties between Vietnam and China and was in response to the Vietnam-China Year of People-to-People Exchanges. Key media projects that VTV and CMG will implement for the 2025 to 2026 period were also introduced. These include a series of programs on technological development, artificial intelligence, urban infrastructure, and comprehensive coverage of both countries' significant political, cultural, and social milestones. The two media companies will also co-produce the Young Reporters Exchange program and share experiences in operating digital ecosystems. Coming up next, tentative names of 34 provincial-level administrative units announced. And businesses take proactive steps ahead of multiple U.S. tax scenarios. Welcome back to today's headlines. Party General Secretary Tô Lâm recently signed the resolution of the 11th meeting of the 13th Party Central Committee on restructuring the country's provincial-level administrative units to 34 in total, including 28 provinces and 6 centrally run cities. Among them, 11 provinces and cities, including Hanoi, Huế, Quảng Ninh, Thanh Hóa, and Nghệ An, will remain unchanged, while 23 new units will be formed by consolidating existing localities. This restructuring aims to enhance state governance, promote balanced regional development, and reaffirm the party and state's commitment to reform and integration. The U.S. has delayed deep retaliatory tariffs for 90 days, applying a 10% rate to 75 countries, including Vietnam. This pause in trade tensions presents an opportunity for domestic businesses to strategize for the long term. For export companies, the next 90 days could be crucial in determining whether they can maintain their position in the U.S. market or risk being pushed out.
This company targets $116 million in exports to the U.S. in 2025. Recent order surges due to the 3-month tariff delay offer optimism. However, the owner remains cautious, as the risk of lost revenue persists with uncertainty about the tariff rate after 90 days.
Sun House is focusing on direct sales in the U.S. to diversify its customer base and reduce reliance on intermediaries, which carry risks if tax policies change. This strategy aims to give the brand more control over its market presence.
To reach $10 billion in exports to the U.S. this year, the Vietnam Leather and Footwear Group has proactively started importing raw materials directly from the U.S. market.
We plan to import materials like leather from the U.S. to reduce imports from countries like India, balance the trade deficit, and increase the chances of a lower retaliatory tariff rate.
The Ministry of Industry and Trade has set up a task force to monitor U.S. trade developments. The group will ensure Vietnam avoids high tariffs after the suspension period and issue guidelines on traceability and local content.
We will leverage 17 FTAs with over 60 countries and 70 bilateral mechanisms, while the Ministry of Industry and Trade pushes for FTA talks with new markets like the Middle East, Latin America, and Central Asia.
The 90-day period is a test of Vietnam's adaptability. With government support, businesses can maintain a presence in the U.S. and strengthen Vietnam's position in the evolving global trade network.
Publishers, writers, and readers passionate about Vietnamese literature in Brussels, Belgium, recently gathered to exchange and share updates on various publications, highlighting Vietnamese history and culture in a fresh, creative format. At the event, overseas Vietnamese readers were introduced to notable new releases and special editions generating attention in Vietnam, including classic literary works reissued with modern designs and presentations. A highlight of the event was the debut of Belgium of the illustrated book series, History of Vietnam in Pictures, a comprehensive 695-day page work featuring nearly 2,000 illustrations, photographs, and maps. The Cho Chờ Năm Thơ Mây Festival, the traditional New Year of the Khmer people, commenced today. Over 1.3 million Khmer people in the southern region eagerly celebrate joyfully and excitedly. Cho Chờ Năm Thơ Mây brings a cheerful and lively atmosphere after a year of hard work and helps preserve traditional cultural identity. Now this year, the festival will take place over 3 days. Khmer temples will be beautifully decorated during this time, and many cultural, artistic, and traditional sports activities will be held. And as usual, let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's the end of today's headlines. To watch our program, you can download VTVgo on our mobile application or visit our YouTube channel at VTV4go. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.